This is a list of how many movies I've been watching over the past few years. It fluctuates a little bit, but as you can tell, over the past year it has dipped quite a lot. Half almost. And for a lot of people, watching like 170 movies is quite a lot, but for me, it's quite a low number. And over the past few weeks and days, I've been reflecting on the question, why am I watching less and less movies? And I wrote down a few points that I want to share with you because I feel like a lot of people could maybe relate to this, because I feel like the energy I had for movies has just disappeared, and that's kind of sad, and I wanted to figure out why. So I have like 4 or 5 points here that I want to discuss and figure out why I'm watching less movies, and to see, is it just a phase? Did something actually happen, or what's going on? But first, let's put on our kinds of kindness hat because my hair is annoying me as always. So let's get straight into the points. I don't really want to waste any time here. The first point is it started to feel like a chore. Watching movies just became something to tick off a list and not enjoy. As you can tell, last year I watched well over 300 movies, and the year before that as well, because I had this weird pressure put on myself, self-inflicted. Like, the pressure was created by me, and I was continuously telling myself I need to watch more and more movies to feel validated in the world of a person who makes videos about YouTube, on TikTok, or just one of like in the world of like cinephiles or whatever. And there was a phase where I was just watching movies just to keep up, just to say that I had seen something Letterboxd was talking about. I'd finish something and immediately move on to the next movie. It was basically like clocking into a shift at like the cinema or something, and it was just tedious, and I did not enjoy that. And at the time it wasn't really a problem, but it definitely is a problem for me now. For example, I remember watching Dune Part 2 because I felt like I had to. In the end, I did really enjoy that movie, but I felt like it was almost homework, not something that I actually wanted to watch in that moment. And I'm glad at the end that I did really enjoy it, but there's like this weird pressure that kept popping up with a lot of movies. And I feel like whenever you treat films like a to-do list, you stop loving them and they just feel like work. And that sounds like such a privileged and weird thing to say, but it's the truth. I just felt like I was watching movies just for the sake of watching movies, just to impress people and say, hey, I watched 4 movies yesterday, I watched 3 movies yesterday, and nobody really cares. And I realized that after a few years, and I'm glad I watched a lot of those movies, but looking back on it, could I tell you anything about those films? Probably not, and that's a shame. And now I'm going through like a phase where I take things slowly, but I'll get to that point in a little bit. Letterboxd ruined my brain. I feel like logging and rating movies made watching feel performative. Every single time I watched a movie, all I could think about was Letterboxd. And I love Letterboxd. It's a social media for people who love movies. Incredible. But it has messed with my brain, and I've spoken about this in the past. I feel like Letterboxd is the worst and best thing that has happened to my attention span during movies, because I used to just watch a movie, but in the recent past I would be halfway through a movie thinking, is this movie like 4 stars, or would I give this like 3.5 stars, or should I just give it a heart, or should I review it? What should my review be? And the worst thing was, I remember watching Saltburn and I caught myself thinking about what my review would be for this movie. I was an hour into the movie and I was trying to be funny, thinking of one line reviews for Saltburn, and I think that is insane. And I feel like my relationship with movies has definitely been ruined by Letterboxd, because Letterboxd is kind of like a face for you and for the movies that you love. It's also a bit weird because Letterboxd made me love movies more, made me find some of my favorite movies of all time, meet so many incredible people, but it also made me feel like watching movies, it just felt like a brand strategy, and I don't like that. So now I don't really rate movies. I either give it a heart or just 5 stars or nothing. I don't like, and if I actually want to say something about a movie that I come up with after, I will, but I refuse to watch a movie and start thinking about Letterboxd reviews halfway through the film, because that is depressing, and I think that's just me maturing and realizing that was a stupid thing I used to do, because it just took me away from the movies, and now I refuse to do that. So that's why I'm watching like less movies, because I get to actually lock in with the movies, and I'm not watching these films just as for statistics. I'm watching them because I actually really want to. And now I appreciate movies so much more. I don't think watching less means I'm falling out of love with movies. I think I'm just appreciating films more, because watching less equals feeling more. And whenever I finish something, for example, like After Sun, I don't want to immediately move on and like watch Scooby-Doo 2. I want to sit there and I want the movie to stick with me. The last movie I watched was a week ago, and that was One Battle After Another. And I have been thinking about that movie every single day, about specific scenes, about specific characters, the shots, the storyline, and I love that I've given myself so much time to reflect on the movie. Now, have I wanted to watch more movies and I've just been busy? Yes, but I'm also fine and content with the fact that I haven't watched a movie in a week, but it just gives me some food for thought to think about the last movie that I watched. And before I was chasing quantity, and now it sounds really, really cringy, but I just kind of want that connection that I used to have with films back in the day when I was like maybe 16 and watching like 5 movies a year. But I could talk about those 5 movies for hours and hours. And then whenever I started getting into like YouTube and like Letterboxd and all that sort of stuff, I watched so many movies and my opinions became smaller and smaller. And old me would have been so anxious, being like, I haven't watched a movie in a single week. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose my mind. I'm not a real cinephile. But now I don't mind at all, because it just gives me more time to sit with one movie. And whenever the next chance comes around for me to watch a movie, I will watch it and I'll probably engage with it as well. I'm watching less, but I'm engaging more. And that's what cinema is to me. It's so important and I love that so much. Being on like Film Talk or seeing shorts about movies is extremely draining, and it is so exhausting because everybody is talking about everything 5 minutes after it drops, and it's just too much and I'm over it. Recently, it feels difficult to just like a movie, because with Film Talk or shorts, it feels like you almost have to defend a movie, explain it, or ironically enjoy it. And it gets very, very annoying. Like, I just want to watch a movie and not have to give a massive review, not know the theories behind it, not know the entire story. And it feels like whenever you go online, and for me, like my algorithm used to be like all movies, it made me feel also kind of stupid, because I'd watch a movie and I'd be like, oh, that was cool. And then I'd go online and they're like, this is the deeper meaning behind blah, blah, blah. And that got quite exhausting. And it kind of just led to burnout, because half of me thought I just didn't understand movies, and the other half of me felt like there was just too much pressure. And sometimes I miss watching movies when it was a private thing and not a huge debate. And I know that's kind of like my fault, because I could just stop using Twitter. I could just stop using, I don't use Twitter. I could stop using TikTok or Instagram, but I realistically won't. And these things kept popping up. And now I've just kind of like distanced myself. I've kind of trained my algorithm to just be like cats and not massive opinions about movies. Now and then, like hearing directors talk and hearing these theories, it's very, very interesting. But back a few months ago, whenever I kind of just decided to watch less movies, this was a huge thing. And it was very, very annoying. I'm not insecure about my identity anymore. Watching fewer movies feels okay, because I am a lot more secure in who I am now than I was a couple of years ago. Because I remember whenever I started this channel, I didn't really know who I was. It sounds a little bit pretentious, but I was just trying so hard. But now part of the reason I'm watching less is because I don't feel like I have to prove anything. I'm not insecure about being a movie fan anymore. Like, I know I love movies and I know I can talk about them for years, and I don't need to watch 600 movies in a single year to prove that. And that took a little while for me to accept that. And the last movie I watched was a week ago. And as I said, that is perfectly okay with me. I don't need to watch 20 movies in a single week to feel like me. And it feels like I finally accepted my own pace, my own taste, and accepted who I am with that. I will always love movies. I will always have that special feeling whenever I watch a great movie, even a bad movie. Like, I love talking about bad movies, but now I feel like I'm just not insecure anymore, and I'm perfectly okay with watching, even if I watched 10 movies in a single year. That's okay. My love for movies will probably and realistically never ever fade, and there might be just some years I'm just busy. There's some months I'm just busy, and I don't need to continuously keep watching movies to prove to myself and maybe to other people in my head that I'm a big movie fan, and I'm happy about that. I am. And the final point is that maybe it's just a phase. Life has been extremely busy lately. I've been traveling, I've been working, and I've been focusing on creating content everywhere. TikTok, shorts on YouTube. I've been writing, just a lot of things that have taken kind of like priority at the moment. And that's okay. Again, in the past, I'd be like, if I do not watch a single movie in a day, no, I am not a real movie fan. But now I'm like, it's okay if I don't watch a movie, but I want to read a book instead. At the end of the day, if I hear some form of story, if I have an intake of a story in some way, could be a podcast, could be a book, could be something, I'm happy at the end of the day. And back then, I had to watch movies. Right now, I'm just focusing on whatever I actually want to do. I know it sounds a bit depressing, but life is just way too short to kind of like force yourself to do things you don't want to do in the moment. Maybe I'm just going through like a slow era because I still obviously love movies, but as I said, life has just been very busy, and whenever I get a chance to watch a movie, I do, but I'm not putting that stress on myself that I used to in the past. Maybe I'm getting old, maybe I'm becoming an old man, but to me, that just sounds like I'm getting a little bit more mature, a little bit more grown and more confident in who I am, and that's kind of cool. I'm happy with that. And I know once I have like a weekend where I'm doing nothing, I'll realistically watch like 5 movies, but for now, it's kind of like 1 or 2 films a week, and that's perfectly okay. So yeah, I'm watching less movies, and as I keep repeating myself, that's perfectly okay with me. I'm gonna just try watch what I can, watch what I'm in the mood for. And there are a lot of movies coming out this year that I'm looking forward to, so that's gonna be extremely exciting. But I wanna know, am I alone in this? Do you watch loads and loads and loads and loads of movies? Or do you feel bad when you don't get a chance to watch a couple of movies a week? Let's start a little bit of a discussion, because it's quite interesting to talk about, but that's everything I have to say. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye.